One other great question here as I go through them is, it's just a real simple question. Curt, what's going to happen next? Look at all the lines up there. You can see them in between each. What's going to happen next? Well, that big time cycle that's coming, I think that's going to be the ushering in of their reset. That'll really wake people up, that one. I'm 99.9% sure. And the walls will close for sure. I mean, nothing's absolute, but that's my feeling on it. You know, Russia will be its own reality, and China and the Western world, their objective, of course, is to get the walls built and take down the empire. And a lot of the things that they've done are definitely weakening the empire. But I would suspect that that big time cycle yet in 2022 to come is the ushering in of that. And I think people in the empire are going to be wide awake at that point. I'm really encouraged by the fact that they've published that the Discontent yeah, we're real discontent here, boy. Couldn't it be worse for us out here? Anyway, they've published that the Discontent will be around for sure, so I'm encouraged by that. In terms of war, I would think you'll see all kinds. In terms of the big war, I don't know yet, you know. I don't know. I think they're going to just keep chipping away at things like getting magic potions into us. Things like what you're seeing in the sky. You know, what's coming out of there and into us. I mean, they've been very clear, right? Like, this is not tinfoil hat. They're very clear that they want every living thing, you know, these trees and everything chipped in some form or fashion. Now, it might not be specifically a chip, but the technologies are pretty advanced now if you haven't done your research on it. So they want everything communicating with the matrix, which is obviously what your friend Elon is up to. They want everything communicating with that matrix 24/7, every living entity. And they definitely want everything genetically modified, quote unquote. So I suspect that it'll just be a whole series of things that cause walls to close down, food supplies to be constricted, freedom of movement constricted, freedom of communication restricted. So that would be your ability to get on the internet freely and do as you wish in terms of communication, whether that be social platforms or whatever. I mean, I'm being very generic here, but I think there's got to be something that's going to cause them to be able to really get the world's attention in that time cycle. What specifically that is, I really can't say here anyway, and I don't really know, but, you know, it's a fairly short list of things, right? And then, because your future money, etc., won't be safe after that, they'll come out with their tokenized version, or versions. There might be 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever. And they'll represent that as safe because they got control over it digitally, right? you can spin a pretty good story there. And I mean, the reality, it's not even a story. The reality is they can control things much better that way, much easier. And I think the populations will buy the idea. And then, they'll be able to usher in their reset quite easily. So, it all comes down to you. You've got to decide, are you going to be just trying to get small and work inside of it, stay quiet, and be a part of it, you and yours, whether or not you want that for your future generations, or you're going to be an elite in the top 0.01%, or what they call a discontent, or an outlier. I mean, I don't see much other choice, right, than those three choices. But I would suspect that that's where we're at for this final time cycle in 2022. And then it'll just be common knowledge at that point, I think. Anybody that hasn't figured it out will be really, really slow to the game. And I think after that, people are at great risk of being able to make any decision after that, basically swapping sides, right? In terms of one of those three choices. So you take the different categories. You take physically where you're at. You got to think about that. Physically where you want to be. What game you want to possibly play there. The economics in terms of your money, how you want that positioned, and that's why, one of the things that we're doing is building these DeFi ecosystems that are extremely flexible. Again, read the white paper of oildefi.io. And then the other, real important question is, wherever you are, if it gets really tough, the main question is, can you possibly, I'm not saying we could even here, but can you possibly negotiate your freedom when they come to your door? I know in my homeland that's not possible. I mean, here to a point, possibly. Mogadishu, probably even more so, right? So it just depends. And then you've got to think about whether or not you want to take their offers as they come. I mean, I haven't taken a single one, right? When they were giving out money, I didn't take it. Not a penny. When they were giving out magic potions, I didn't take it. I mean, I left 7 years ago, and I haven't reappeared at all in any way. Except for, social media like this. But I think your choices are going to be very limited in those ways, right? Where you're actually physically located, how you've positioned yourself financially, assets, whether or not they're going to be of use, and whether or not you're going to even be able to keep them. I think you want to think in terms of local energy. Energy or assets or various other things that can be used as a local energy. I think that's going to be very important. So I think you want to think in those kind of terms. But nobody knows for sure, I have been pretty much spot on for 7 years, and I suspect that'll continue, but I don't know that for sure. And nobody does. Anyway, peace and love.